After taking a break from my usual Saturday distractions, I started thinking back to the quintessential Cronenberg-style body horror movie of the 80s, John Carpenter's The Thing, a film so drenched in silicone prosthetics that it had the boob industry worried. Then I found out it was actually a remake.
No way! Yes way!
Yes, the original came out in 1951, before CGI, before Stan Winston was a legend, and yes, before color. And you can't prove the existence of color back then. Since they weren't big on brevity in those days, they called it The Thing from Another World. Both films are called The Thing, but they're more different than an Instagram profile photo and the real thing. So how were they shaped by their eras? How do they compare? And how do both mirror the fears of their times? And by the way, I'm doing a quick beer pairing after each movie, so grab a frosty mug. First off, spoiler alert, but come on bro, these movies are ancient. You've had 40 years, so don't blame me. It all starts with a 1938 sci-fi novella, Who Goes There, by John W. Campbell. It's a 10-story of paranoia and survival at an Antarctic research base. Scientists thaw an alien that shapeshifts more than my ex. It can perfectly mimic any life form. Well, maybe not any life form, leading to intense mistrust as everyone tries to figure out who's the thing. The two films are a product of their time. Howard Hawks' 1951 classic is really about conformity and the fear of commies. Americans were entering the Cold War, and sticking to the American way was seen as key to beating the Red Threat. John Carpenter's was set in the post-Vietnam Watergate age of mistrust, and in fact explored the dangers of conformity. The Thing from Another World follows an investigation of a UFO crash at the North Pole. Yeah, Santa is pretty much f***ed. With Cold War tensions high, Captain Patrick Henry, played by Kenneth Tobey, and his crew of scientists and soldiers Sherlock Holmes it. Then, when they find it, they do what any red-blooded American would do: hurl thermite bombs at it until it explodes.
That escalated quickly.
But surprise, they find the alien popsicled underneath the ice. The science nerds get their panties all in a bunch and want to go all ET on its ass. But Henry isn't having it and isolates it. But he doesn't count on the guard being as much of a genius as he is. You see, he covers the alien in an electric blanket. Then hilarity ensues. The Thing escapes and they discover it's basically a super carrot. Their words, not mine. It wants to drink blood and spawn teeny tiny baby carrots that are gonna conquer the earth. Sounds familiar? Looking at you, invasion of the body snatchers. Once thawed and outside, the Thing trashes the sled dogs. Bullets bounce off them. Dogs can't touch it. Fire just pisses it off. So head scientist nerd Carrington decides all those years at university were a waste of time and tries a power of friendship approach only to get bitch slapped unconscious. So Henry goes full Nikola Tesla and electrocutes the retarded carrot. It was a cultural phenomenon. Highest grossing sci-fi film of the year, sparked the golden age of alien invasion films alongside The Day the Earth Stood Still, and was later preserved in the US National Film Registry in 2001. It even inspired generations of filmmakers, including John Carpenter. Me, I skipped it for 52 years. I was really trying to avoid that black and white. Honestly, it holds up pretty good. Good tone, solid plot, some cheesy 50s humor, but it's okay. Back then, science fiction wasn't a serious art form, and they didn't have the capacity for serious special effects, so they leaned hard on storytelling over gimmicks. And that works. One thing that I've always wanted to do was give a beer pairing for my reviews, so here it goes. For the 51 film, I'm gonna go retro. Straightforward, crisp, clean, and quintessentially mid-century American tasting beer. Think classic American lager or Pilsner. I'd say the Crisp by 6 Point. It's a 5.4 ABV. It's a Brooklyn beer. It's got floral, grassy aromas, and it's got light lemon notes. I know that sounds kind of beer snob, but I'm going with it. Remakes are usually garbage, but Universal didn't know any better. They went with John Carpenter for a faithful take on the Who Goes There novella. The original monster was a clunky, Frankenstein-looking, retarded carrot, about as scary as Nicolas Maduro on his way to jail in his tracksuit. Carpenter's version internalized the threat, a shape-shifting creature that screws with your body and mind. It's like an Agatha Christie-style mystery full of paranoia and grim inevitability. They nailed it. Legendary Stan Winston was on creature effects. The tone was perfect. The story was faithful. The gore was beautiful. It bombed. It bombed bad. Audiences were just too confused with the marketing, and critics hated it.
Some problems with it. I think the characters, they're not made into three-dimensional people. Their function is to walk down the corridor and be jumped on. The story is totally implausible, and the movie just basically is an excuse for this very gruesome and repellent creature to gross us out. It is the most nauseating thing I've ever seen on a movie screen.
But then VHS came along and gave it a second life. It became a cult classic, influencing everything from the Fly remake to Scanners and even 2024's The Substance. Carpenter's version returned to Antarctica, not the North Pole. We find an asshole Norwegian helicopter chasing a dog into the American station. Turns out it's not a dog. The creature mimics anything it touches, so trust collapses. Blair destroys the comms and warns that they'll take over the planet. So they just lock his ass up. Then McReady devises a blood test, leading to gore fests, spider heads, amputation, and pure nightmare fuel. I love this scene. In one of cinema's most infamous endings, survivor Childs and McReady sit freezing outside, sharing a bottle and wondering if one of them is a thing. The famous theory is that Childs is a thing. He doesn't exhale visible breath like McReady. Was it intentional or a filming glitch? I love it either way, but yeah, Childs was the thing. As far as a beer pairing for this movie, you need something that's all brutal Antarctic isolation, creeping paranoia, freezing cold, and grotesque body horror. I'm picking Old Rasputin Imperial Stout. It's a dark, roasty, vicious, high ABV rocket fuel. It's the beer equivalent of McReady torching everything while wondering who's next. This beer won't assimilate you, but I don't know, maybe. Would you sip it during the blood test scene? Or are you more of a J&B Scotch purist like the movie? These two films prove horror is a mirror. 1951 fights external enemies with unity. In the 1982 version, fear is the enemy within. I like the 82 version. Initially for the wickedly beautiful gore, but now for the paranoia, mystery, and faithfulness to the book. The original is nostalgic and fun, more impactful for its time. I'm giving it 4 reels because it was fun, and I'm sure if I was a kid in 1951, it scared the crap out of me, but wouldn't have as many fans today. Watching Carpenter's version is like drinking a bold IPA or dating Sydney Sweeney. It just wrecks it for all the others. Carpenter's remake gets 5 reels. It's just next level better. Which version do you like the best? The 1951 original or the 1982 remake? Drop it in the comments, and as always, keep watching movies.